Good morning, happy Friday, and welcome back to the NOFO Live Show, where I, Sunita, along with my two co-hosts, Tracy from Miss Tracy Kessler and Kelly from NOFO Endless Summer, we hop on every Friday and talk about everything North Fork. It's gray, it's rainy. I feel like the sun hasn't been out in a few days. I think yesterday it was a little bit slightly sunny in between, but it's warm, so that's great. And it's Friday, so yay. And I'm also excited because I'm cooking a whole bunch of Indian food. I know I talked about this, maybe was it last week's show? I can't even remember, when we were talking about, hi Chris, when we were talking about our word of the year, and my word of the year was forward. And one of the simple things that I wanted to do moving forward was hosting more dinner parties at my house. So tonight I'm having an Indian potluck. So I am looking forward to just having some warm tandoori chicken to keep my belly warm and happy.
Hi. Good morning.
Tracy.
Good morning. Good
Hi,
morning.
Chris. How are you?
Just.
Hi, Chris.
This
you
way?
need to flip your phone
Okay.
this way.
Hey,
There you
guys,
go.
this is my
Yeah.
first, okay? So just so you understand this.
All right.
You just.
Well, listen, you're here
Well,
before
that's probably
Kelly,
because
so.
she's sweating bullets that she's thinking that I'm going to need help doing this, and so. That's a good thing. But thanks so much for inviting me, Sunita.
Thank you for being here.
Well, we're so excited that you're here. I see Kelly trying to join. Let me see if I can accept her. Anyway, I was saying, I've had dinner parties with Chris and we've enjoyed some lovely dinner, but I'm so excited about the Indian food. I know I'm sharing it and a lot of you are not coming to this dinner table, but this is the first of many.
Sunita,
So
I need to be
tuned.
invited to the next one. I love Indian food, and I think I told you I have been to India about 6 or 7 different times.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Like I said, this is actually a rescheduled event from last year. Just a small group of us are talking about how much we love Indian food and that there is no Indian restaurant on this entire floor.
That's what I hear.
There actually are people that cook it. I'm so excited. So I'm looking forward to it. And I definitely want to do more of these gatherings. And just, why is NOFO Endless Summer unable to join? Kelly, I don't know what's going on. Chris is here. I don't know what you're doing. I see your request, but it keeps saying you can't join. And I'm so excited to learn about the birds and the bees. I mean, maybe not about the birds, but at least about the bees.
I see her.
I'm kind of disappointed that Chris got on better than I did.
Kelly, this is really scary at this point in time. You should be scared at this point. You did. And what I did actually first is I actually tried the stand with the pictures so that I could see that you could actually see me. First. Of course, Sunita had to correct it because I had it sideways or something like that. But that's just a detail. Getting on.
Yeah, but that's the fun. That's the fun about being live. Otherwise, it would be so boring. Us sitting in the studio, sipping someplace in an enclosed wall. This is more fun. You never know whose phone is going to fall off.
Yeah, who thinks we can do this?
Absolutely.
All right, we have so much to talk. The comments are already flying through. Let's move on from Indian food. And let's talk about you, Chris. Kelly, you want to introduce Chris?
Sure. So if you don't know Chris Kelly, he is the owner of Promised Land Apiaries, which is a apiary here on the North Fork. He is also the most prominent master beekeeper on Long Island with over 50 years experience. He's Cornell educated entomologist. And basically, if you've had honey pretty much anywhere on the North Fork, it's almost a guarantee that Chris has had some.
You're allowed to say
Am I right to say that, Chris?
Yes. It's part of the ritual of being a dinosaur, okay? Which means that when you've spent enough time doing something, you eventually hit somebody at some point in your journey. And, you know, it's been such an amazing journey here on the North Fork. I've been out here for 35 years, keeping bees. It's just been beautiful. I love our communities. They're so involved environmentally, but inclusively, meaning people want to get together. I love hearing Sunita talk about just let's have a meal. Let's have a meal with Indian food. That's what I'm talking about on the East End. And I absolutely love keeping bees here.
I love it, Chris. Before we go into like North Fork stuff, can you tell us like a little background, because your history is so fun, and I think everybody needs to hear it.
I got started in beekeeping when I was 10 years old. I told my dad that I was going to take every merit badge in Boy Scouts that was related to insects, and beekeeping turned out to be one of them. And little did I know that that was going to become a lifelong journey for me. So what happened is I went through, I got mentored by a guy by the name of John M. Arliss from Lindenhurst. And he taught me the ins and outs of beekeeping, but became a very dear friend. When I was a senior in high school, I won part of the Long Island Science Congress, where I had done a project on honeybees. And that became my launching point to getting into Cornell University, where I studied entomology and apiculture under Dr. Roger A. Morse. I became the Cornell bee yard manager during my 4 years. That was my work study program from there. And from there, I ended up going into beekeeping as a professional beekeeper with Powers Apiaries out in Captain Cook, Hawaii. And as I'd like to say, the story goes is I've been both a professional and a hobbyist beekeeper forever. And when I came back to the Long Island and to Mattatuck some 35 years ago, I was actually a vineyard manager and a beekeeper. And as I've gotten older, I just transitioned from being just a vineyard manager and a beekeeper to going back to my first love, which is beekeeping. And so now I've been beekeeping full time. I have the great pleasure of teaching and training many, many students in the art and science of beekeeping. In fact, I've had 7 of my former students have gone on to become master beekeepers. I have 3 of them that have gone on to become professional beekeepers throughout the U.S. And it's and also I kind of, Sunita, one of the things I kind of like to think about bees is bees are what I call friendship bees. They're a starting point of communication. They're a starting point of connection with people. And in that, it doesn't matter whether we talk bees, whether we talk honey, you know, whether or all sorts of things of even in cooking where we can include honey in the baking or in the recipes of things. So it's
definitely
yes,
a conversation starter,
yes,
right,
it
Chris?
is.
Well, I love how you're reframing the bees, because sometimes people think of them as, oh my God, they're going to sting me, and almost as an enemy. So I love that from a place of friendship and the sweet joy of honey that they bring.
Absolutely.
Rather than something.
But you know,
fear.
again, Sunita, I just love our North Fork communities. That they're so engaged. So people have been literally willing to overcome their fears. You know, there's 2 life stories, I think, that are almost a commonality. Either did you get bit by a dog or you love dogs, or B, did you get stung by a bee and you're afraid of them? And it really does, you know, Kelly, getting back to your point of it being a starter, you know, a starting point for conversation, it absolutely is. Because, you know, when you go to a party, you go to a dinner party, and somebody says, you know, they're doing the whole thing, what do you do for a living? I keep bees. Well, there's several distinct responses, right? One, the first part is they they inherently think you are crazy. Okay, perhaps you'll be in a little panel van taken away somewhere. Okay, that's the starting point. But then it's kind of they get interested, and once they're engaged in that conversation, heck, 9 times out of 10, I get you to become a student of mine.
I was going to say people probably swarm, pun intended, towards you once you say that. I know if I was at a dinner party and I heard someone say, I'm a beekeeper, I'd be like, hold on, I'm going over there. I want to hear what this guy has to say.
Tracy, I could so see you being sucked into Chris's like
Hey,
cult. It's really funny because like once Chris starts talking about it, people are like, I could do this at my house. Like I could be a beekeeper too. And then it's just like it snowballs. And then you meet these people 6 months later. So if you don't know, I run Chris's social media. So I get to hang out with Chris often. So I get to meet people from their like very first beginner class where it's like an intro learning about bees to like a year later when they're like fully hooked and they've got all the gear and they've got all the stuff and they're totally into making their first jar of honey. So Tracy, I could see you getting on that train.
Wait,
I totally
where does this take place, Chris? Where are you?
Wait, I have a question.
Yes.
I have a question first too, because you mentioned vineyard. Is it they do it because they need the bees for the pollination of the grapes, or
vineyards actually don't need bees for pollination, okay? Because the grapes are actually self-pollinating. But having said that, anytime you have the presence of bees in any kind of fruit or vegetable or nut operation, anytime you have that, you're able to see a quantitative difference in the quality of the shape, size, and character of the fruit, nut, or vegetable. So it's one of these things, the bees will pollinate the grapes. Just understand the grapes don't need it. But the vineyard managers never complain about it, that the bees are there. Yeah,
because drive around, a lot of vineyard farms will have bee boxes around, and I wasn't sure, So to Tracy's question, is it a garden thing? Is it designed to help your garden? Like where do people keep their bees?
Honestly, you can keep your bees almost anywhere, okay? But the thing I like to say when you get started out is I like you to draw up a little site plan. In other words, where are you proposing to put your bees? And the thing I want you to be mindful of is A, where are your neighbors? Okay. B, where are your kids? Okay. Your kids, your dogs, your cats, your rats, things like that. And thirdly, you really do need to understand, do I have good sunlight? Do I have good wind protection? And do I have a water source for them? When you take all those, when you just draw it out, and I like people to just draw it out on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. This way they can see it, where they're thinking of laying it out. And bees don't take up much space. 2 beehives would take up about a 10 by 10 area, okay, in terms of space that you would need. The actual beehive is less than 2 foot long and 2 foot wide, okay? And it's modular, so you can stack them up. And typically, we try to set.
I think also, Chris, what Tracy was asking was, where do you have your classes?
Right now, I have, I'm sorry, Tracy, sometimes I get myself on a tangent and wander off. No,
that was,
I wander off,
segued into a different
reel me back in.
Sunita was like, but wait, how can I That's what Sunita's mind was
Here's
going.
the thing. Right now, I'm actually giving 4 courses, which they're too far along for anybody that would want to start in those classes. But I am going to be having a class at the Riverhead Agway, the Talmadge Agway. I should have the dates starting at the end of this month or the beginning of February. And you're going to meet twice a month. It'll be in the evening, probably 6 p.m. I just don't have the exact starting date just yet, but it will be every other week. It's I always say it's a 6-part course. I usually throw in an extra date just because I like to have people feel prepared and ready for when their bees come. So I like to break it down into 2 sections. The winter time is when I get to flap my lips and try to see if I can make you fall asleep. And then once the lecture series is done, then I'd love you to join me in the hands-on beekeeping. And what I offer there is I have 2 really good educational bee yards. One is at the Halleckville Museum Farm. That's there's an educational farm there. And then the second is actually at the East Hampton Airport on the south side. And
Chris,
yes.
Just to piggyback off of that, so Chris runs classes at lots of different locations. So he had one at Golden Earthworm Farm. He has one right now at Peconic Bay Vineyard. So he has like a range of different locations. So if there's one spot that's a little bit more convenient for you to go to, you can join a class there. So it's kind of all over. So you can join a class pretty much anywhere, you know, close to where you live.
Do you have like a starter class where someone goes to like just one and they're like, let me
I do
a
one-off 90-minute kind of tutorial. It's an overview of the six things, and I will be doing one of them at Agway the week before we start up on the classes. So yeah, so look, watch.
Chris, another thing that you could kind of let people know is if they ever want to come to watch you do like a feeding or something at like Halleckville, you can just come and watch and see and like just get to know like what actually goes on, because like I've been hanging out with Chris for over a year now, right? And it's amazing. Like I have never been exposed to bees or beekeeping people, and every time I hang out with Chris, I learned something new. And it's all really cool stuff.
I think the question on everyone's mind is, do you get to wear the big white
I
hat
can dress
thingy?
you. I can dress you up in it, Tracy. No problem. No problem. I'll put you up. I'll put you in the hazmat suit. No problem. Okay.
Okay.
Wait, so here's a fun fact. I've been hanging out with Chris, filming his bees, getting in there with the bees in the hives. I've only been stung once, and I was mid-filming, didn't even stop filming. And every other time, I've had no suit. No suit, no netting, no. Chris does something to the bees where his, like, calming presence makes them calm.
I sweet talk them. Yeah.
Yes, he talks them, and like honestly, I've never been worried when I've been with Chris. I've never had a situation like Chris would let you know if they were aggressive.
That brings up a good point, though. Can the bees tell if you're
Tracy,
can they feel
the
that?
short answer is yes, and the reality is this, because honeybees, their principal form of communicating, believe it or not, is not verbal, and it's not by sight, but it's by chemical cues. Now, when you're scared, you actually emit almost a chemical cue that says I'm scared, and bees will pick that up right away. So there is an element of truth to what Kelly says. You know, when I walk in a bee yard, I'm going to calm you down as much as the bees on it. And one of the cool parts that has come out of the last couple of years of these educational yards is we've experimented now with some new technology in beekeeping, namely the flow hives and the solar hives. And what these do, these have 2 different objectives. The first one, the flow hive, is allowing beekeeping to reach people that otherwise could not do it. In other words, if you were physically or mentally challenged, this hive allows you a window into the beehive without seeing it. And we had the great pleasure of having Johannes Hope up from Riverhead came down, and the clients got to harvest honey from the beehive. to me, that's an
Oh
absolute,
wow.
that's an
a whole
absolute,
great
that's an
experience in
absolute
and of
win.
itself.
There's nothing that makes me feel better than somebody getting to see and experience the love of the bees. Yeah.
So I want to know about this honey harvest party, because I saw something on your social media where, I mean, those who want to have their own bees and go through the whole process, good for them. The ones of us that just want to experience the honey, tell me more about these honey.
You know, I have to give credit to Kelly on this one, because she really saw that the honey harvest party was something that needed to be shared. Okay. And what it involved, it is a yay. It is a yay, Kelly, because it was what.
Kelly has a lot of creative ideas. We tell her all the time, and maybe we don't tell her enough. But Kelly, you certainly do have a lot of creative ideas.
Thank you, guys.
Truth be told, she's also like the sound recording master. Have you ever listened to the background music on some of the reels she does for me? It's awesome. Half the time I get the comments, Chris, where did that music come from? And I'm saying, flip me. I don't know, because Kelly's got it, right? But anyways, coming back to these honey harvest parties, what they entail is that usually a group of between 6 and 8 people can take part in it. And what I do is it's self-contained. I bring my truck with the machine we call the extractor to spin the honey, and I'll even bring the boxes or the supers that are full of honey. And then it's a full-on interactive experience for the people that are at this party. And what they can do is they get to what we call uncap or open up the honeycomb, so you expose that liquid honey. They get to actually spin this honey in the extractor, and finally they get to even bottle some honey for themselves. And yes,
Chris, just a side note, if you have friends who are afraid of bees, the honey harvest party does not involve bees at all.
Thank you.
So actually bringing what are they called again, Chris? The thing, the honey, the super. He's bringing the supers, and there are no bees. They're left.
Well,
so the honey problem.
Just where the honeycomb is. Yeah,
well,
I like that idea.
Well, Tracy,
We should do
the
a
other
honey
thing about
harvest
it
party.
is, think about it. I'm mobile, so I can actually do this all in the back of my pickup truck if need be. So I'm not messing up your kitchen floors.
Ooh.
I'm not, you know what I'm saying? There's no mess.
My wheels are spinning. My wheels are spinning.
Yes, Tracy, this is something that you need to have somewhere.
Even for
Yes.
make your own favor. Like, you don't need a honey jar. Just come harvest your own honey, take it home. I don't know how messy it is for the person involved, but I'm thinking for so many events, Tracy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know. I'm literally going, I wish Chili's birthday was in the summer because I would have you come and we could do that with the kids.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, in like 5 years.
Well,
but-
let me tell you, I did one of these honey harvest parties in Amagansett, and the young girl was 5 years old. Okay, I never laughed so much in my entire life. We actually had 8 little girls, and by the end of it, it kind of looked like they were all draped and gooed in honey, because they put their lips underneath the spigot of the extractor to eat the honey, and it was awesome. It was absolutely awesome.
You know what? My niece, she's 9,
Yeah.
so she'll be turning 10 in July. She is obsessed with honey. She actually asks for a honeycomb for her birthday, for Christmas. So I'm going to have you come to her birthday party in July.
JC,
she would die.
you'll have to, you gotta just email me a date that you're looking at, because I get really busy in June, July, and August. Okay.
Okay.
But I was going to say to you, Tracy, if you're interested, I'm at Corey Creek Vineyards tonight at the pop-up at from 4 to 8, and I am actually going to bring a comb of honey. So if you're a 9-year-old who's around, you know, you can
Tilly.
Yeah. I can bring my 1-year-old. My 9-year-old is in East
There you
Northport, but
go.
I'll see
Well,
if she wants to try that.
Your 1-year-old. Oh my God, I can't even remember that. Well, but anyhow, yeah, we're going to be there from 4 to 8 tonight at Corey Creek. So even if some of the people that are listening and want to know more about the bee classes, the honey harvesting, or what it takes to get into bees, come and visit me.
That'd be great. Well, and that's a perfect segue into our section of the show where it's the same 5 different perspective, although I think we said we were going to change the name of that. I can't remember what we said, girls.
What were we going to call it? The NOFO Live 5.
The NOFO
Live 5.
The NOFO
Live 5. Okay, so here we go. The NOFO Live 5. Okay, so Chris, if you were going to take us out to lunch,
Legends.
Where would you take us out to lunch?
I'd take you to Legends.
Oh.
Yep, I love Legends. They are consistently good service and good food for the price.
Great.
Awesome. And where are we meeting?
Bailey's
Catch either a sunrise
Beach,
or
baby.
a sunset. Which
Bailey's
one are we
Beach.
catching?
There we go. No, that's a sunset.
Is that for a sunrise
or
a sunset?
If I got to go to sunrise, I got to go all the way down on the south side, and that's a drive.
Okay.
That's a huge playground, right? Right on the beach? Yes, it's
What
beautiful.
town is that in?
Yeah. It's literally it's literally a mile or so from my house. On it.
All right. Next time I'm over, I'm going to stop by there. Chris, I know it's not fair to say because Chris has his hand in almost every farm stand. What's your go-to farm stand?
How do I answer that? Because here, let me put it to you like this. The East End and the North Fork farmers do such an exceptional job growing vegetables and fruit of the highest quality out here that you're never going to go wrong with visiting any one of them. I happen to have a relationship with Sang Lee Farms, the organic farm out here, where we've worked together for over 12 years, my bees pollinating their fruit. So that would be my go-to.
There you go.
That's a name we hear so often. They really do a tremendous job of even the selection of vegetables they offer. I mean, they have a lot of Asian vegetables in their CSA. I think they have bok choy and things. You know,
Japanese sweet potato.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well,
awesome.
this is the thing is what I love about Sang Lee, what I love about Homestead Farms. I'm gonna Priscilla's farm. When you start to really look at the produce truly is honestly at the end of the deal. It's the process to go there that these people are so authentic, so innovative, and passionate of what they're doing that they just bring us excellence.
Mm-hmm. I know Larry's watching. He just commented from 1760 Homestead Farm. So I'm glad. I'm glad he threw it.
Larry, let me tell you this: Homestead Farms. If you want an original experience, and this is really cool, it's actually a culinary farm. Larry is going back to his roots, and I got to tell you, he is a chef, and it's so cool to watch him in the kitchen, and he makes fabulous food right from stuff coming off his farm.
Awesome. So we at 1760.
Chris, you were in your past life, you were a vineyard manager. So do you still frequent some of the, or still enjoy some of the local vineyards or breweries?
I actually have two favorites. It depends if my wife is in the mood for a red or my wife is in the mood for a white. Okay, if we go for white wine, we typically love to go down to Leap Cellars on it. If she's in the mood for a red wine, we'll go to Bedell Cellars. Okay.
Love it. All right, Chris. So to wrap up our show here, what is it that you love about being part of the North Fork community? And I know it's hard to just pinpoint one thing, but if you could kind of summarize your part of the community for us.
It's that simple. the people.
Yeah.
They are beautiful. They're engaging. And I just love being a part of it.
Chris, I've
Well, we
heard with you a few times. I've never heard you give a one-word answer.
Yeah.
So I love that.
I think that's the shortest answer Chris has ever given.
Are you guys calling me Jabberjaws?
We love it. We love it. 30 minutes definitely wasn't enough for us to chat with you. Thank you so much for coming on. For those who want to follow up more, check out Chris's Instagram at Promised Land Apiaries and follow along for all the classes he offers and all the things he does. And we hope you'll come back another time, Chris, or we hope we end up enjoying a harvest party and visiting your beehives.
Looking
That's
for honey,
correct.
Head to
I would invite you to come and visit me in the spring when the bees are flying and let's do a live in the bee yard. How's that?
that sounds great.
Do it.
Let's be live.
Thank you so much for having me. Okay. Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Next week.
Yeah.
Bye.